How many of y'all like poetry? We do. Don't sound so fucking enthusiastic. This is an exercise in being human, in consuming something outside of those structures they would not have you recognize as prisons. You know, Blackberry prisons, Apple prisons, Metro prisons. We're all victims. We sit feet from each other on crowded buses and trains every day, with centuries of knowledge and experience between us, and we say nothing, right? Because we as a society are taught to fear each other. Well, guess what? I'm not afraid of you. In fact, I love you all. But simply because I woke up today. Simply because I woke up today with the experience of being a human with you. Thank you for being here, Sacramento. This is the most revolutionary space in all of Sacramento. I love y'all.
We love you.
And that's part of why. That's part of why. You saw how quick that happened? The first time that I walked into Camp Resolution, I'm a big I love you person. I say that shit to everybody because I love everybody. But in a lot of the spaces that I'm in as Sacramento Poet Laureate, I say I love you. People just look at me like that's a nice novelty. And they don't say that shit back. But at Camp Resolution, there were so many fucking people that said it back to me immediately. And that's the... And I just appreciate y'all. Can I ask y'all a question?
Yes.
This is going to be a little bit of an interactive thing, right? Not that kind of poet laureate. So I'm going to ask you a question, but I need you to not respond with a woo, because woo is only the appropriate answer to one question, and that is, who is the best fucking hip-hop group to ever come out of the East Coast? So, my question is, how are you feeling?
Amazing.
Excellent.
Good.
Alive. Alive, yeah.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
Welcome.
How are you feeling?
Love.
Proud.
How are you feeling?
Happy.
I mean, good, bad, or ugly. Underwhelmed or exhausted, accosted by all of it, in search of a power button or an off switch. With your hands or your heart first. More like a wave or a starburst. How are you? She looks at me puzzled, wondering how I could fear the only language she's ever heard me speak in. She says, how the rocks are soft at the bottom of the river. They weren't always, you know. The water has to flow to make them like that. I dropped every constellation I was holding on the ground, and we laughed new galaxies into existence. I tell her it took me years of therapy to sip the wine that she had just unboxed. See, some of us carry rivers behind our eyes, and that's why some of us grow up in deserts. Boys don't cry. She says, they're just not something to try and stand on because they get all slippery. I tell her no one's ever been more right about these fragile concepts of masculinity. She explains that the earthquakes are just Mother Nature dancing in my throat, and the only way to mispronounce love is by not trying. A little smoother. See, someday I will talk to her about systemic oppression and mental health, and how our spirits are big enough to hold the top of joy and the bottom of grief at the same time. But today I simply tell her, we all feel pokey sometimes, and the ice cream never fails. Again, I'm the Sacramento Poet Laureate, and they asked me to read in a bunch of fancy fucking places. Don't worry about clapping for that. I'm just saying that to explain that I don't get to read some of my favorite pieces some places because they're a little bit dirty. So I want to read a few poems that I don't get to read very often, if that's all right. All right. This first one is very seasonal because Christmas is coming. Does anybody know who Larry Jefferson is? That's okay. Larry Jefferson is the first black Santa at the Great Mall of America. This poem is an ode to Larry Jefferson. If X equals the number of people employed being Santa Claus at stores, parties, and malls every year, earning spare holiday cash to buy their kids presents and figgy pudding and shit, and Y equals the amount of black men considered unbelievable in the role of a character who has an elf labor force and flying fucking reindeer, and you multiply times 175 years, the answer is white privilege. And we need to solve for all that shit. Back to it, man. Or any poets who use the word henceforth in their poetry. For that matter, they didn't when we were writing to keep our suicide attempts at bay. Old Walt was a racist, no matter how queer he was. They say, I want to burn down libraries and national parks. We are just asking for new statues that resemble everyone, not just old white men who say henceforth in their poetry about nature, but refuse to dissect their own. If my poems are problematic in 200 years, topple my statues. Burn down any schools bearing my name. Replace them with eponyms of those who destroyed my legacy. I will laugh and cheer the kids on while old poets defend me, explaining it was a different time. And teachers hide this poem because it says I loved cocaine and unprotected sex with strangers in my 20s. Honor me with sledgehammers and broken glass, not damned institutions with professors who only know what they are taught. Fragile with anthologies of ego no one will ever read. Monuments to the fact those who can't do, teach. May they rust on the bottoms of young rivers until they become the kind of silt that Walt Whitman would have written about. Henceforth. Because I also teach, a lot of us teach poetry in these schools. And oftentimes, in my profession, the subject of profanity arises. And they ask me, do you guys curse? Or even better, do you say bad words? My response is always the same. There are no bad words, only bad people. You pay no mind to the evil, but vilify the words used to describe it. Magnificent words like fuck.
Picture!
Fuck.
I'm in the video.
You can fuck something. You can fuck someone. You can fuck something up. You can fuck that. You can fuck this. You can not give a fuck. You can give a fuck. You can give two fucks, which is somehow worse than not giving a fuck. You can be a fuck, you can be a fucker, you can get fucked, you can have a fuck, you can be or make a fuck face. You can fuck people over, or you could just say fuck it. Fuck is a noun, a verb, an adjective, and an adverb. Fucking A. Fucks break down into four main categories. There are holy fucks, flying fucks, dumb fucks, and motherfucks. Yes. Fucks have mothers. And how do you think they feel about their children being excluded? Fuck. Fuck is fucking versatile. Fuck is a one-syllable exclamation point. So why the fuck are we so afraid of a four-letter word? I mean, shit. There's another one. Shit. Everyone shits. You can do some shit. You can buy some shit. You can feel shitty over the fact that you ain't shit. You can be the shit or just a piece of shit. You cannot take no shit. Shit happens. Things can all go to shit. Cause shit's real out here. Shit. I don't get the shit personally. Shit is confusing. I feel like I got shit for brains. It's a shit storm. People love a shit show. You can talk shit. You can be all up in the shit. You can shit on somebody, and I guess you can like shit on somebody. Shit comes on shingles in the military, which brings me to my next point. Things can look, taste, smell, sound, and feel like shit. That's all 5 senses. That's some all-encompassing shit. When explaining to my students the power and mysticism of these 2 words, I tell them that sometimes when dealing with cops that aren't afraid to kill them and a system built to oppress them, there is no better way to say fuck that shit than saying fuck that shit. As long as you know what the shit is, who's responsible for the shit, and how you intend to fuck it. She said, love is a liability in this fight. And I knew we were fighting 2 different wars.
I did not know dogs like.
Anybody know who Jose
My
Montoya
dad
is?
has a cat that does this.
This is in honor of Jose Montoya. It's called Maestro. His student says, I want to write like you, but I don't know enough Spanish. He laughs. Mijo, you don't have to know Spanish to speak like the barrio. You have to know the barrio. I don't care if you... This one's called On Freedom. The only place freedom is pretty is in theory. It's back there. It's back there. She called it. Y'all like love poems and shit? Russ was not lying. This is a single and bitter audience right here. Y'all like love poems? There's like a half a person that was like, cool. Exorbitantly floody, intrinsically rudy, flotaciously and circumstancefully spitish, abundanominally always, head weak and heart strongly, expansious, formfully and involuntarily dovey at times. I said when asked how I loved her. In case you didn't get it, those are all some made up ass motherfucking words.